Hey guys, and welcome to another video. I want to make another video about Israel, or better, how Israel is being depicted in the media. I already made a video about that a day ago, but this one was in German, and yeah, this video is now in English for several reasons. And yeah, the reason is just that I was really shocked at what is happening there, but not only at what is happening in Gaza and in Israel, because this conflict has been going on for 75 years, so I was not really surprised that bad things are happening there. But I was really shocked actually, or more shocked so, to see how biased the view on this whole thing is. And not only in American media, which is one thing that I want to come back later, but also in German media, because the view on this whole conflict is very one-sided, also in German media. And yeah, this basically starts by calling the Zionists in Israel just Jews. So we just want to make it look like everyone in Israel is just Jews, or all the Jews are behind Israel, which is by far not true, but I will also come back to that later. Yeah, and the thing is just, you have a lot of these commentaries here and news reports and whatever. And the thing is, they are representing things in a very one-sided and biased way. But the problem with those videos is that you usually cannot comment on those. So I can of course understand this. There's a lot of anti-Semitism and hatred and hate speech and so on going on the internet. So I can understand that they are deactivating the comment section so that people cannot comment anymore. But the problem with that is that people who just want to present the whole situation from the other side, from the Palestinian side, explaining historical events and whatnot, yeah, we simply don't have a possibility, or we don't have any means to express their opinion here. So this is very problematic because, as I said, the problem here is that the German media is very one-sided, and most of the comments are deactivated on these videos. So it's very hard to find actually videos with a good and informative neutral standpoint. There's one YouTuber in Germany, Mr. Wissen to go, Mr. Knowledge to go, in English basically. He's doing some neutral stuff that is actually pretty good. But as I said, most of it is coming from the media, the national media, from the news. That's actually very biased, and I was really shocked to see how biased that whole thing is. Yeah, I'm not surprised with the Americans that they are biased, which I will explain in a couple of minutes. But seeing that even the German media is like that is really crazy to me, because I always thought that the media in Europe and in Germany also is much more neutral, is much more factitious. And yeah, the media is more factitious than in America. If you see the propaganda spread on American television, that's of course another dimension when if you compare it to the German media or the French media or the Austrian or Swiss media, which I all know pretty well, I would say. So America is of course another dimension, but I was pretty shocked at how one-sided this whole thing is being shown. And yeah, here's one American opinion if you want to see one. So there is one post here. There's a Facebook friend of mine, and he posted this one post that says, if the Arabs put down their guns, there would be no more fighting. If the Israelis put down theirs, there would be no more Israel. So this is very one-sided, like, yeah, it's all the fault of the Arabs at this point. And yeah, of course, especially after 9/11, it is not very hard to find people in America that are spreading hatred against Arabs, or that are pro-Israeli and anti-Hamas and anti-Palestinians and anti-Arabs in general. But it's definitely not that easy, because we still have to consider that Israel is a state of apartheid. They're doing war crimes, they're doing oppression. Yeah, just trying to make it look like, or trying to frame it like the whole conflict is on side of the Arabs is simply not true. And yeah, I was trying to argue a little bit with this guy. So I basically said, this is questionable. The Israelis are not innocent with their military occupation, but yeah, the Hamas are worse. So this was basically my opinion there. Okay, the Hamas are terrorists, they are worse. But then again, I think many Palestinians would also disagree with that. Yeah, in the Western media, the Hamas are of course always the worst people. And I don't want to say that the terrorist attacks of the Hamas are okay to any degree. Yeah, but completely trying to make it look like that Israel is innocent in this whole conflict, that is more than tendentious. Sorry, I have a problem with this word. It's really manipulative to do that, because there are really two sides in this conflict, and Israel did a lot of things in the past that also inspired this aggression, this violence, and this hatred. So it's not like in the Ukraine, where the Ukraine are basically attacked by Russia, and Russia is the aggressor, so that you can say, okay, Russia is definitely the one who is wrong in this conflict. Yeah, because the situation with the Ukraine and Russia is completely different than the situation with Israel and the Palestinians, or Israel and Gaza. I say that because I've seen several comments in the last days, or over the course of the last days, where people were actually comparing this, and no, you cannot compare this, because the Ukraine did no provocations or attacks whatsoever, and they were just attacked by Russia. And in this conflict, there are simply war crimes and crimes in general on both sides, and it's just very tendentious and even manipulative at this point, to try to make it look like a one-way situation here, because that's just not the truth. But yeah, the answer of my Facebook friend was basically, yeah, read some actual history and not propaganda. Yeah, which is funny because, yeah, propaganda is most likely what this guy actually got. I don't have any problems with this guy. He's a nice guy, but I don't think that his point on Israel and the Zionists and Gaza is neutral, and I don't think it can be, because the American view has never been neutral concerning this topic, because let's say it as it is, America has been investing billions and billions of dollars into Israel, and we are basically using Israel as a shield versus the Arab world, so, or the Arabic countries. So basically, America is taking profit from Israel, and having that in the back of our heads, it is very obvious that we cannot say that the American point of view is neutral on this. But as I said, I was not surprised that the Americans are trying to rewrite history and spreading propaganda and lies and things that are maybe half true but also half false, like only showing the aggression on the Palestinian side but completely forgetting all the aggression on the Israeli side. Yeah, as I said, I'm not surprised that the Americans are completely biased in their view on this topic, but seeing that the German television and the French television are basically taking the same approach and taking the same biased point of view, yeah, that was really something I did not expect. Of course, I did not expect the media to go anti-Israel and go super strong versus them, but as I said, this was so biased in the last days. It's really crazy to me. Yeah, but as I already said in the other video that I did in German, I have some friends in this area, some Palestinians and people in general. Summer, I think it's another guy who would fall into this category. So I have some people there who are living in this area, and of course, as we have suffered from Israeli apartheid and military aggression and so on, we of course have a different point of view, or we have a different take on the whole situation there. And as you can imagine, we are not that pro-Israeli, and yeah, we even have arguments for that, believe it or not, even if the media doesn't show it. But we have some arguments, and Wadi Norman is one of the people who is sharing content about this whole situation daily. So he has been sharing content about the situation for, yeah, basically for at least a year or so. So as long as we have been friends on Facebook, he has been sharing posts about this conflict. Yeah, and let me show you some of those. This is why we actually, the second recording, I already did another recording, but I tried to go into too many details and repeating myself too often. So the other recording was already at, I think, 45 minutes, as I decided to stop the recording. So this one is at the moment at, yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah, because if the video is too long, people are not watching it, and I want to compress the more important stuff. But yeah, here's one article, for instance. Let's have a look at this one.
Israel is one of the most racist countries in the world. While you'll never hear anyone in the mainstream media say this is actually one of the most important things you need to understand if you want to know what's happening right now.
Yeah, these are of course the actions or the words of an innocent state. Yeah, we will kill you all, fucking Muslims, one by one. This is not only in reaction of the rocket attacks from the Hamas in Gaza. Yeah, this has been happening before. So basically there's a lot of racism and hatred towards the people in Gaza, the Palestinians there. So trying to make it look like the Zionists in Israel are innocent in this whole conflict is completely wrong and more than tendentious. As I said, it's manipulative. And yeah, this is just one thing I wanted to show you. But let's watch a little bit more of this.
From its inception, the whole idea of Israel as a country was based on racism. Israel was conceived as a Jewish state, and while there's nothing wrong in principle with Jews having a homeland, the problem is that they insisted that that homeland had to be in Palestine, which already belonged to someone, the Palestinians. The slogan of Israel's founders was "a land for a people without a land." But deep down, they all knew that the only way to have a Jewish majority in Palestine, an Arab country, was to expel the Arabs. One of the founders of Israel, Yosef Weitz, wrote, "There's no room in the country for both peoples. There's no way but to transfer the Arabs from here to neighboring countries." Israel was quite literally founded by expelling and massacring hundreds of thousands of Arabs in a years-long process called the Nakba. And when you...
Okay, I think that's all I wanted to show at this point. In case you don't know what this term Nakba means, it basically means catastrophe in Arabic. So this is like a term like Shoah for Holocaust in the Jewish world. So Nakba basically means catastrophe. And yeah, I just want to explain this term because it will be mentioned later again. Yeah, but this is one thing I wanted to show you. If you want to watch the whole video, you can of course do this. So this is from Breakthrough News. I don't want to keep you from doing that. The thing is just, if I showed the whole video to you, I think my video would go for too long because I want to show some other things too. But yeah, the state of Israel is racist. We can say that for sure. That's not a strange or bended point of view. The state of Israel is racist. And yeah, many people, also Judaists, so normal Jews, are actually saying that the state of Israel is not okay in itself, or the existence of a state is not acceptable. But yeah, let's come to that later. Let's go through this. Yeah, this one is basically saying, he's arguing that basically actually there was peace between Christians, Jews and Arabs in this area until the Zionists came. So this is basically what he's saying in this video, but let's go on. This is in the Irish Parliament, and let's have a small look at this one.
Will you admit that the ultimate responsibility for the terrible, and every single loss of life is terrible, but is the failure of the United States, of the European Union, of the Western powers to hold to account Israel for ongoing, decades-long ethnic cleansing, war crimes, crimes against humanity, the denial of the most basic rights to the Palestinian people? As Gideon Levy said, Israel, a Jewish Israeli columnist, said yesterday, Israel can't imprison 2 million Gazans without paying a cruel price. Isn't that the truth?
Okay, many people would now argue that there is no such a thing as an open-air prison in Gaza. But yeah, the basic message was quite clear. The Western world is turning a blind eye on what Israel is doing. But whenever there is a terrorist attack from the Palestinians, from the Hamas and so on, that gets portrayed. So the thing is, he basically pointed the whole thing out that I'm also criticizing. The thing is that the Western media is taking a one-sided approach by trying to make one always the victim and the other one always the aggressor and the perpetrator, the criminals, and so on and so on. Yeah, it has been the same in this video to which I was reacting. Because this guy here, he's a journalist, he's a German journalist. He was basically making it look like only the Palestinians are committing war crimes and not obeying to the Geneva Convention. But the ironic thing in what he said is that the Israelis are exactly doing the same. So only showing one side of a conflict is always tendentious. And with his knowledge that he proves in this video, he actually shows that he is manipulative, because with all the knowledge that he has and all the things that he probably left out on purpose, he's taking clear sides on this. And good journalism can never be journalism that is taking sides, but good journalism just has to show the facts and being neutral on things. Because if you don't do that, you're just helping one side or the other, and yeah, you're basically taking sides and you're basically manipulating people knowingly, and that is of course always a thing that the media should never do. And I'm not surprised that these things happen in America or in some third world countries or in China or wherever, or in Russia, where there's just propaganda all around the media. So I'm not surprised these things are happening in Russia, for instance, with all this war propaganda and so on. But I was a little bit shocked to see that happening in Germany, because I actually thought that our media was much more neutral. And yeah, apparently I thought wrong in that case. But yeah, he points that out. And yeah, then there is another politician here. One sec. He said that Israel is a much more free state and he could live here much better as a homosexual. I don't really know about that, but I don't really know about the rights of homosexuals in Israel, but I doubt that they are very good, because the rights of women are pretty bad in Israel, and women are often seen as birth machines. Many women have 10 children. Children are seen as lesser beings in Israel. So the state of Israel is a very sexist state, definitely. And there were stories, for instance, that in Tel Aviv airplanes couldn't take off because some Orthodox rabbis were sitting next to women, and the rabbis basically said, or the rabbis basically said, yeah, I can sit next to women for 2 hours. This is unacceptable. So I doubt that the rights, the treatment of homosexuals in Israel is really that good after all. But okay, that's just one thing. Let's go through the other things a little bit faster so that the video doesn't get too long. So this is another joke here, basically. Yeah, this is super ironic because this is a post of Justin Bieber. And as you might imagine, Justin Bieber does know shit about the whole conflict there. So he's probably very uninformed. I don't think that he really has any clue of what's happening there. He probably doesn't even know basic stuff about the whole situation. Yeah, because he's doing this post here saying praying for Israel. And yeah, the ironic or just this sad or funny thing, however you want to call it, is that this is a picture of destruction in Gaza. So he's saying praying for Israel, but yeah, he's basically showing a picture from the other side. So this is really crazy to me. But I've seen this quite often lately. Over the course of the last days, I've seen a lot of celebrities, people that don't really have a clue about the topic, like people who are musicians or even models and whatnot, but definitely not academics or scholars or whatever. Yeah, there are a lot of people who were celebrities who were taking pro-Israel or anti-Israel standpoints, but most of them pro-Israel standpoints. And the thing is, these people, they don't know anything about the situation. They didn't argue with some facts or something like that. They were just taking pro-Israel statements. And once again, these people have shown to me that they are complete clowns because they don't understand the topic. They are not informed about the topic. And yet they try or they think that they have to take a point in this, that they have to take a standpoint on this. And the thing is, the fans of these people probably just know as much as their idols do. I don't think that the average Justin Bieber fan is a very informed political person. Yeah, and if I do some misinformation, that is one thing, but I'm a YouTuber with 120 subscribers. But if people like that who have millions or dozens of millions of followers, if they post things like that, of course there is a certain responsibility, because with great power or great reach or great followers, there is great responsibility, and that is not only true for Spider-Man, of course, but in general, if you have a great reach, you should consider quite intensely what you are posting. And yeah, just making some pro-Israel post without understanding the political situation there, or even posting images that are not fitting to the situation there, that's really ironic in the end. And yeah, I just would be happy if those celebrities actually do some research before making any post or any claims there. Because having hundreds of thousands or millions of followers and making strange claims or just presenting a topic in a wrong context and so on, it's definitely a thing that you shouldn't do. And I actually think that these people should be held responsible for that. But yeah, that's Justin Bieber with his view on it. And as you can see, he absolutely didn't understand the topic there, and he even posted the wrong image there. So that's it's so ironic, actually. It's cringe. Yeah. Good, but there's now another post that I would like to show you in total. Yeah, because I told you the Zionist and the Judaist, they're not the same. And yeah, it's one thing if I say that. Now I'm a German. And in Germany, there's always this accusation, basically, that if you're opposing Jews, you're a Nazi. So in Germany, it's very easy to be called a Nazi for not being in line with Israel or with a Zionist, or saying something critical about the Jews in general. Although I must say that it is very common and widely accepted to criticize the Catholic Church or the Muslims. but strangely, once you start to criticize Jews, you're a Nazi, even if it's the same arguments, like religion in general being very conservative. Yeah, but as I'm a German, I am of course a Nazi if I don't support Israel. So yeah, let's have a Jew. Let's see what a Jew says about the whole topic, because it would be very hard to argue that a Jew is anti-Jewish or an anti-Semite. So yeah, let's take a Jewish point of view on this whole topic.
We have a message for this Nakba Day,
Nakba I
for
already
this
explained.
75 years of occupation. We want the world to know that what is being perpetrated against the Palestinian people, the oppression, the subjugation, the terrible cruelty, is not in the name of our religion. It is not in the name of the Star of David. It is not in the name of the Jewish people around the world who are true to the Jewish religion. Because we are Jewish and because we are true to our religion, we are in total opposition to the existence of the Zionist state of Israel. I call it Zionist state of Israel because it is Zionist. It is not Jewish. Judaism in the Torah forbids Jews to have our own sovereignty, our own entity since the destruction of the temples, and Jews true to the Torah never aspire or try to have our own state. We also are forbidden to kill or to steal. The whole concept of taking this land away from the Palestinian people, it is totally antithetical and is contradictory to my religion, Judaism. Jews have always, from day one, stood up against this Zionist entity. We as Jews continue. Because we are true to the Torah, we stand and demonstrate and we cry and suffer and feel the suffering of the Palestinian people. We want the world to know we are in solidarity, we are together with the Palestinian people in their suffering, and we hope and pray to God constantly for the total end of the occupation. We want the world to know that the Zionist movement is not a Jewish movement. It was a political, material movement created by heretics, and they simply try to incorporate our religion in order to intimidate and silence people and call them anti-Semitic if they stand in opposition. But this is patently false. Anti-Semitic is supporting the state of Israel. It is a cause of exacerbating anti-Semitism by having this occupation. It is a cause of bloodshed of the Palestinians and Jews alike. It is the cause of the oppression of not only the Muslims and the Christians in Palestine, but of the Jews. Hundreds of thousands of Jews stand in Palestine, have lived there prior to the state. They have lived and they're continuing to live till today and demonstrate daily and get brutally beaten and arrested. This is the sad story of this terrible Nakba. It is a tragedy, a calamity, and God with His compassion, we hope, will see the suffering. And even today, the last few days, how you see daily the death and suffering of the Palestinians and the attacks. It's all Zionism, not Judaism. God with His compassion should bring a speedy removal of the Zionist state of Israel so we can once again live together in harmony, Jews and Arabs, as we've had for all these hundreds and hundreds of years, and Jews could show their gratitude to the Arab and Muslim countries for their embracing Jews and giving them a home. Inshallah, soon in our days. Amen. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, and these were several points that I could argue on, or that I would agree with, or that I would like to talk about. But I wanted to show the whole video as a whole, so that I'm not pausing all the time. But yeah, this is exactly what I said, because he made it quite clear that most of the Jews were not behind the Zionists. The Zionists are basically just one group of the Jews. And yeah, it's basically like saying that Jehovah's Witnesses are Christians in general, or that all the Christians agree with Jehovah's Witnesses, which is not true. And actually seeing that Zionism is a political movement, theoretically it is even possible to be a Zionist without being a Jew, which is probably not a very widespread thing, but it's basically possible. Yeah, now you have heard the word from a Jew. You've seen the standpoint of a Jew. So he as a Jew is against the whole thing. So if you want to call me a Nazi because I don't support Israel, or I would criticize Israel, yeah, you can call me a Nazi, but he is a Jew himself, and he as a Jew said that he is not in accordance with what the Zionists are doing, and actually even not in accordance with the state of Israel that it exists. So its existence is antithetical, as he said in his own video with his own words here. Yeah, so this is exactly what I said. A major part of the Jews or the Jewish communities, we are actually against the Zionists. And in German television, they made it look like it's just about Jews in general. The word Zionist wasn't even mentioned. And yeah, when in German television we went on like, yeah, now there are aggressions against Jews in Germany. Yeah, but why are there aggressions? To a big part because of people who are uneducated. Because if people were more educated, we could tell Judaism from Zionism, which is absolutely not the same thing. And the thing is, which is the tendency that has happened in German television, the thing is, we just made it look like the Jews are behind all of this. So basically, by making it look like all Jews are Zionists, basically by trying to establish this point of view, or by trying to establish this idea in the heads of the people, in the minds of the people, that all Jews are Zionists. So basically, by making it look like that, the German television themselves made it more likely that Jews are being attacked, because people don't understand the difference between Jews in general and Judaists and Zionists. So the German television, in my opinion, has made it more likely with their tendentious point of view. We have made it more likely that Jews are being attacked. And then in the next sentence, basically, they are saying that they are afraid of Jews being attacked and they want to save the Jews there or want to save Jewish rights there. So this is basically the bigotry of the German television or the German media at this point, that they completely put the whole conflict into a distorted point of view or into a distorted light. They're trying to put all Jews in one box or in one category with the Zionists, which of course makes it much more likely that also innocent people are getting harmed. And then they're trying to act like they're just in defense or in protection of the Jews in general. And yeah, that's really just bigotry. Because, yeah, now we have listened to a Jew here, and he's exactly saying what I say. He's against this terror regime, he's against the apartheid, he's against the oppression, he's against the Nakba that is happening. And yeah, he's a Jew himself and exactly says what I'm saying. But why does no one show this point of view in the media? I mean, of course, we cannot prevent that there are such problems in the world. And I think as long as religion is the reason for why people act one way or the other, and as long as religion is taken into account as an argument for political conflicts, I think there will always be these problems. But the way that the German and Western media in general try to misrepresent this whole topic is it's really a scandal in my opinion. But okay, let's go on with this. So we have some Jews here. Yeah, they can easily be recognized by their hats and their hair and everything. Oh, it's interesting. Now Wali has been writing me. I don't have a list, but thinking it I should have fun might help you with later on. Have you uploaded the video? I can write him back. Nope. Still recording. Do a second take right now. Stay hello to YouTube. Sorry for typos. The problem is I have some paper here that is protecting my microphone from background noise, so I had to type with one hand basically. But yeah, whatever. Wali is basically remembering us. Zionism is not Judaism, which is basically just the summary of what this guy has just told us over the last minute. So yeah, here you have some Jews basically. Let's see what the Jews say about the people in Israel and the Zionists and what we think about them. The reality is the Zionists ignited a fire both now and in the past. Arsonists masquerading as saviors. Yeah, that's exactly the point that I was talking about, that they are always trying to pull the victim card. That's another point that I missed out here. It's exactly what he said here. We're basically just using what's the channel name? One sec. Lucas Philosophy. Yeah, we're basically just using the Jewish religion as a shield for their own political purposes. And especially in Germany, you can do that very well, because in Germany, of course, we have our history with the Third Reich, which was a great atrocity, a great crime against humanity. And yeah, we always get remembered about that. We talk about that a lot in the history classes in school. So the Third Reich is a very deep inlaid and very strong part of our culture, basically. So we always remember ourselves about the atrocities and that these things cannot happen. And especially in Germany, if you're anti-Zionist, which I think you should, because I think Zionism oppressing Palestinians is definitely not okay. So if you're basically anti-Zionist, there are many people who try to label you as anti-Semite and anti-Jewish and whatever. And especially in Germany, it is very easy to be labeled as a fascist or a neo-Nazi or whatever for saying something critical to Jews. May it be Zionism special, or may it be Jews in general, you get very easily labeled as that. And even if it's things that you could very normally say about the Catholic Church, because if you say that the Catholic Church were doing child abuse, or that they are super conservative, or that the Catholic Church is a problem and so on, you could pretty much quite respectedly say that in Germany. So you could criticize the Catholic Church. But if you start criticizing Jews, even if you're factitious and even if you're very neutral and trying to incorporate a lot of facts there, so even if you're very neutral on this point, especially in Germany, you easily get portrayed as a Nazi. So what he said there, that we're using the Jewish religion as a shield, is exactly what I would agree with, because yeah, this is what's happening all the time. And the Zionists were just taking advantage of the Jewish history, that the Jews were oppressed, that the Jews were persecuted, that the Jews were killed, and yeah, all these crimes against the Jewish people. I think it's quite obvious that the Jewish people are very oppressed and very hunted and very attacked. That there are people that was persecuted in history a lot, and the Zionists are basically just using that for their advantage by yeah, just trying to take this religion as a shield, as I said. But yeah, let's go on with the post here. Yeah, Judaism condemns the state of Israel and its atrocities. The state of Israel does not represent world Jewry. Israel is responsible for 75 years of tragic bloodshed, and so on and so on. So as you can see, the Jews themselves were definitely not agreeing. So this is the same signs, I think. But yeah, as you can see, in the Jewish world, the Zionists are highly controversial. They are highly discussed. And also, most Jews are not in line with their views with the Zionists. But yeah, German media try to make us all believe in the public eye that this is just about being Judaism and Jews in general, and that those are Arabic attacks on the Jewish people. Yeah, and completely leaving out, yeah, that Zionists and Judaists and Zionism and Judaism is completely not the same. But German media just threw it into one pot. And yeah, seeing that even I can tell the difference, and I'm not a history professor who studied years and years of history or politics to understand this conflict. So even I, as a normal person who informs himself on the topic, when I can tell the difference and say that this is objectively wrong, this is not even tendentious in Western media anymore. It's just straight up manipulative, because so many facts are being left out, and obvious facts, that we cannot talk of a coincidence here. So there is ideology behind this, and I think this is just ideology coming from America. Yeah, as I said, I'm not surprised, but that Americans don't really understand the problem, or that Americans have a very biased view on it. But I was shocked to see how biased our Western media in general is, also in Europe, because I thought we are better than that, but yeah, apparently not. Okay, yeah, some other celebs here posting some pro-Israel shit without understanding the background of it. Just makes me shake my head. Yeah, this is basically comparing the Third Reich to the Zionists. Yeah, this is, I almost said girl, this is a young woman who was in Hebrew school. She's basically stating in this video that she was brainwashed into thinking that Israel is a safe state. Yeah, was basically pushed into this direction of supporting Israel. And yeah, she basically just grew out of it. Yeah, you can see all the links, so if you want to have a look for yourself, you can do that. You can have a look for yourself. Son of Holocaust. One sec, I am still recording. Talk to you later. So, okay, that's the monkey and the kitten. I don't think that has any political background here. Yeah, but I still have at least 3 things that I want to show to you. So many of you might already have known that the Israeli intelligence basically failed completely. There were so many things that they could have known of this attack. So right from the start of this whole conflict, people were discussing that because this seemed a little bit fishy. And yeah, here's basically a post about that. How did Israeli intelligence miss that Hamas was planning such a massive attack? Well, it appears they didn't. Reports are now revealing that Egypt repeatedly warned Israel of an attack coming from Gaza, but Israeli officials chose to ignore it and focus on their settlements and the West Bank instead. Yeah, so at this point, it is highly likely that the Israeli intelligence already knew of these attacks or that these attacks were planned, but they let them happen. And yeah, this wouldn't be the first time in American history that this happens, because after all that we know about Pearl Harbor was also an inside job. Yeah, this is kind of a conspiracy theory to many people, but Pearl Harbor was basically a thing that people also knew about. So they knew that the Japanese wanted to attack there, and they basically let Pearl Harbor happen. After all that we know now at this point, we can pretty clearly say that. And they let Pearl Harbor happen so that they can mobilize troops. And yeah, let's not forget, this has happened in America. And America is behind Israel as much as the Iran is behind the Hamas. Yeah, also the fact that the Americans have immediately offered to send weapons, to send money, to send support in any way to Israel to enforce attacks and so on, makes it quite obvious that there's also an interest in America in this whole conflict. And yeah, after all that we know now at this point, it is very likely that the Israeli intelligence knew of these attacks and let them happen. If that is the truth, it would also turn this whole conflict, because if that is true, we are basically no better than the Hamas, because the Hamas are always criticized for taking civilians, normal people as shields and putting their rockets in places where a lot of people live, in buildings where people live. So we are always criticized for that. But if the Israeli intelligence knew about those attacks or that they are planned, and we let them happen and let hundreds of civilians die so that they can mobilize their own troops, that would basically be just the same than what the Hamas are doing, because that would basically mean that they are taking civilians or sacrificing civilian lives for their own purposes. And if that is the truth, and I cannot tell it for sure, but at this moment or at this point, it looks very likely that this is what happened in reality. If that is the truth, yeah, the Israelis no better than the Hamas at this point, just because of that. Okay, let's have a look at what Wali was writing. I think the most powerful side is this argument. Is the Jews and Holocaust survivors taking Palestine's side? The Zionists have a special name for them, since anti-Semitic is invalid. The term is self-hating Jew. If you are taking sides against the Zionists, you are labeled as a self-hating Jew, because you can't be labeled a Nazi or an anti-Semitic in this case. Yeah, as you can see so far, the state of Israel is highly manipulative, and also America is very manipulative, and the Western media is very one-sided and tendentious, and also manipulative to a high degree. So as you can see, a whole of points being left out here. So this is really crazy here. Okay, but let's go through this one. Okay, I won't show this one, not because it's not good, but it would take too much time here. Let's scroll through this one. Okay, that's from a bigger one. Okay, I think I will show this one as the last one, but there are now two short ones that I want to show before this. So this is a 3-minute one, what I want to show to you. Oops, 1 second, I'm muted. So now again.
So right now, if you are putting out a statement talking about how your heart goes out to the hostages in Israel, but you are not saying that your heart goes out to the people, the civilians, the children of Gaza, if you are condemning Hamas, but you are not simultaneously condemning the Israeli government and the U.S.'s unconditional support for the Israeli government as they are bombing civilians in Gaza, as they have cut off food and electricity to a city that is over 50% children because of the extremely low life expectancy rate there, because people there are suffering under...
Yeah, that's true. More than half of the people in Gaza, which is a highly populated land, more than half of the people there are below 18 years old. Yeah, it's really crazy.
Worst form of apartheid in the world's largest open-air prison, and constantly are experiencing violence at the hands of the Israeli army. If you didn't give a shit what was happening in Palestine up until 2 days ago, that is because you see Israelis as people and you do not see Palestinians as people. And if you live in the US and that's you, it's understandable if you haven't been paying attention, because the Western media is extremely white supremacist. And that is how racism works. Israelis get to be white, Palestinians are non-white, and they are therefore not people. You see this.
It's not all about racism. It's about global interests. Yeah, of course, also money in the end. And it's about religious fundamentalists. But yeah, okay, racism is another part of it, okay.
This difference in humanization when you look at the very rhetoric that media uses to describe the difference between Israelis being killed and Palestinians dying, in the obfuscation of Israeli military aggression and settler aggression by calling such things clashes. And maintaining the dehumanization of Palestinians is so important to the project of white supremacist imperialism in Palestine that it is extremely threatening to do anything to humanize Palestinians. Which is why my suggestion yesterday, which I always make whenever there's violence in occupied Palestine, that people read a book, any book by a Palestinian author. That is so threatening to people. People take that as anti-Semitic, the suggestion that you read a book by a Palestinian. Because if you read a book by a Palestinian, it is going to humanize Palestinians for you, and it will change the way you see this conflict forever. A few years ago on YouTube, I created the Read for Palestine challenge. And apparently that was so threatening that it got me put on an Israeli block list, and this notorious website, which I won't name, but which keeps tabs of, people they say are notorious anti-Semites. And I, an outspoken Jewish author, am, according to them, a horrible anti-Semite because I encourage people to read Palestinian literature. So before you fix your mouth to say anything about what is going on in Israel and Palestine right now, ask yourself, have you sought out Palestinian voices to listen to? Have you ever read a book by a Palestinian author? If you need suggestions, check out my last video.
Okay, that's interesting because she's basically saying that she herself is a Jew, she's a Jewish author, but just by challenging the views of people, by making them read a book or inform themselves on the matter, she basically, as a Jew, gets cancelled and blocked and told that she's anti-Semitic and so on. So this is really showing how manipulative the whole discussion here is, because she's basically just showing two sides of a story, which is what you should always do. You should never only take news or sources from one side. You should always be neutral, or try to be neutral at least, and inform yourself on both sides of a conflict. And yeah, she's just basically telling people to be educated. Yeah, why don't you take a book from a Palestinian? Why don't you read a book of him to see their point of view? And she's just saying that, and yeah, she's getting cancelled for that. So it's not only people in Germany that can easily be called or labeled as Nazis or whatever, but it's even Jews themselves. If the Jews speak up to this, yeah, we get labeled as anti-Semitic and whatnot. So yeah, this is really crazy. If you see this point, everything is in another context, or everything makes more sense, of course. So once you see this point of a story, the whole story changes. But as I said, the whole media also in Germany, which is kind of a scandal in my opinion, it's quite of a scandal. The whole media in Germany was only showing the Israeli point and completely leaving out the Palestinian point. And yeah, this of course cannot lead to anything or to any understanding or any agreements here. And yeah, let's watch this one as the second last.
I made a video explaining how the attack on Israel was not unprovoked. And I've been bombarded with comments and messages that I'm justifying the violence. What I was doing was explaining how what happened wasn't about anti-Semitism or random terrorism, but a response of resistance after decades of violent Palestinian dehumanization.
Yeah, and that is exactly the point why also many Palestinians support the Hamas and even see them as heroes, because it is for them righteous to attack the Israelis. For them it is righteous to do these terrible things, to kill people. Because for them it is not an attack, but it is basically just a reaction to all the things that have happened. So this is exactly what I'm saying. So this is, if you don't take that into account and don't see the history side of that, yeah, you can of course not understand the Palestinians. But yeah, this is also just a side of the truth. So let's go on.
When Palestinian children are murdered by Israeli forces, they say, well, Hamas was using them as human shields. That's justifying murder. When journalist Shirin Abu Akleh was killed by Israeli forces and people said, well, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, that was justifying murder. When Israeli settlers violently destroyed the town of Huara and said, well, it happened because brothers were killed, that was justifying violence. Israel has been justifying its violence against Palestinians for 75 years. For me, there is no justification for violence. That's why I speak out as a Jew against the occupation. And if you're against violence, then please join me in standing up against the occupation, the source of all this violence. Because if you don't, then guess what? You're not against violence. You're just against Arabs.
Yeah, and another point from another Jew. But yeah, if you reason like that, the problem is you're not only justifying violence, which is one thing. He said that several times in the video, if you do this or that, that's justifying murder, that's justifying violence. The problem with that is, if you start to argue like that, you are not only doing that, but you are simply morally corrupt. You are a morally corrupt being, and starting this kind of argument like that, or putting up arguments like that, is just morally corrupt. It is not okay. And this is not the kind of conversation or the kind of arguing that an innocent victim state would do. So this is highly manipulative, and yeah, let's not mix this up. It's just wrong to do it. So he's right with that, and it's morally corrupt. It's a morally corrupt way of arguing. It's not okay. It's definitely not okay. But yeah, okay, let's leave that so far, and now let's go to the last one that I want to show you. Yeah, sorry for making such a long video again. The last video was, yeah, now I'm at almost an hour now. But in the last video that I recorded before this one, I was also repeating myself. So I yeah, do this re-recording now. But this will now be the last thing that I show to you. But I think after watching this, you probably will have quite a different understanding of the whole conflict than what they've shown on Western media. Whoops, sorry, I'm muted again. Hello?
By Gabor Mate. I think anybody who sees it will be deeply moved by Gabor Mate's wisdom and truth.
But I'm personally a Holocaust survivor as an infant. I barely survived. My grandparents were killed in Auschwitz, and most of my extended family was killed. I became a Zionist. This dream of the Jewish people resurrected in their historical homeland, and the barbed wire of Auschwitz being replaced by the boundaries of a Jewish state with a powerful army. And then I found out that it wasn't exactly like that. That in order to make this Jewish dream a reality, we had to visit a nightmare on the local population. And there's no way you could have ever created a Jewish state without oppressing and expelling the local population. Jewish Israeli historians have shown without a doubt that the expulsion of the Palestinians was persistent, it was pervasive, it was cruel, it was murderous, and with deliberate attempt. So that's what's called the Nakba in Arabic, the disaster or the catastrophe. There's a law that you cannot deny the Holocaust. But in Israel, you're not allowed to mention the Nakba, even though it was at the very basis of the foundation of the state. I visited the occupied territories, Russell, during the first Intifada. I cried every day for 2 weeks at what I saw. The brutality of the occupation, the petty harassment, the murderousness of it, or cutting down of Palestinian olive groves, the denial of water rights, the humiliations. And this went on, and it's much worse now than it was then. It's the longest ethnic cleansing operation in the 20th and 21st centuries. I could land in Tel Aviv tomorrow and demand citizenship under the law of the right of return. But my Palestinian friend in Vancouver, Hannah Kawas, who was born in Jerusalem, can't even visit. Now, if I have the right of return after 2,000 years, how come Hannah hasn't got the right to return after 70 years? So then you have these miserable people packed into this horrible, people call it the world's largest outdoor prison, which is what it is. You don't have to support Hamas policies to stand up for Palestinian rights. That's a complete falsity. If you take the worst thing you can say about Hamas, multiply it by 1,000 times, and it still will not meet the Israeli repression and killing and dispossession of Palestinians. Anybody who criticizes Israel is an anti-Semite is simply an egregious attempt to intimidate good non-Jews who are willing to stand up for what is true. If you look at the Western press,
yeah, that's exactly what I said in this video several times. So, yeah, religion is just being used as a shield here. That's no question.
When Hong Kong demonstrators throw stones at the police in Hong Kong, that's considered to be heroism. When in Myanmar, the demonstrators throw slingshots at the army, at the oppressive army, they're considered to be heroes in the Western press. When Palestinian kids throw stones at the Israeli soldiers, they're called terrorists. And Israel gets away with a lot more without much less criticism in the Western press than any other country. He runs a program for Palestinian children who spend time in Israeli jails. 14, 15, 16-year-olds are jailed for months or years. Sometimes they can't see their families for months. If she says, we don't have post-traumatic stress disorder here because the trauma is never post. The trauma is daily, she said. If he's got any ounce of humanity left, he would cry like I did for 2 weeks when I was there. Anybody can go on YouTube and listen to Ilan Pappé, an Israeli historian. Anybody can listen to Norman Finkelstein, a Jewish professor, world expert on Gaza, who was...
So if you want to have further information, let's repeat that once again. Anybody can go to YouTube and listen to Ilan Pappé.
Listen to Ilan Pappé,
sorry.
An Israeli historian. Anybody can listen to...
So you can also Google for Ilan Pappé or Norman Finkelstein.
Norman Finkelstein, a Jewish professor,
in German, yeah,
world expert on Gaza, who was denied tenure at his university because of his public speaking against Israeli policy. You can listen to any number of Israeli Defense Forces soldiers who talk about the brutality that they now regret having committed. You can listen to Israeli pilots who talk about why they refuse to fly over Gaza because of the atrocities they're made to commit. You can get all the information you want. So if anybody these days doesn't know, it's not because the information is not available. And none of that excuses not knowing truth and this deliberate attempt to silence anybody who speaks, Jewish or non-Jewish. And I really wish that non-Jews of goodwill would stand up against the calumny and not be intimidated by this charge of anti-Semitism. I really wish that. It's not a question of being pro-Palestinian. It's a question of are you in favor of justice and liberty and freedom and truth, or are you not?
Yeah, that's exactly the question that has to be answered. It's the question of are you in favor of justice?
In favor of justice and
liberty?
And liberty and freedom.
And freedom and truth, or are you not? Yeah. So this is basically summarizing all in total. All these posts are basically summarizing what I already said in my other video in German. Yeah, that basically it's not the Jews that are committing all these crimes in Israel or the Jews that are being attacked by the Hamas. It's the Zionists. And just trying to frame or phrase the Zionists as Jews in German media is really manipulative at this point. So it's really crazy if you think about it that we can do that so easily. Yeah, it really makes me shake my head, but that even the German media or the European media is so biased in this conflict. But yeah, basically all the things that I've said, you can easily label me as a Nazi in Germany for taking these points now. But now we have listened to Jewish people, we have seen Jewish protesters, we have seen people who went to Hebrew school and went out of that. As you can see, the Jews basically just repeated what I've said in my video. And these people are the real Jews because the Jews that were referred in these videos, the Jews that were referred in the media, that's the Zionists, and it's not the same. Zionism and Judaism is not the same. Let's not mix it up. So yeah, just want to show that to you, that basically most of the Jewish people that are not brainwashed, most of the Jewish people that are educated, most of the Jewish people that are neutral, or that are trying to seek the truth, trying to seek justice, most of the Jewish people, they are not supporting Israel. And that is how the German media try to frame it. And yeah, just thinking about it, it's so strange. But we also said a lot of other things in the media that were a little bit controversial. Yeah, in this video I go into depth into more of these things. Of course, it's by far not enough to explain all of that or to show all of that. But here's another 35-minute video that I made. So if you're German and you understand German, you can have a look at that, or you can generate some subtitles. Although I must say, usually these automatic generated subtitles are not the best. Yeah, but to cut it short, or to summarize it, yeah, I've now shown you some Jewish people, authors, rabbis, religious people, a Holocaust survivor, and all of these people basically said the same that I said in my other video. So yeah, fancy that. Fancy that. And yeah, maybe I hope that maybe I could change the views of some of you. Maybe some of you were just informed from one side, so you had a very biased view on the topic. Maybe I could help you to investigate further and to see the contradictions in this argument, because there are many of those contradictions. But yeah, as you could see, most of the Jewish people, most of the Judaists completely disagree with the Zionists in Israel and are also completely against the apartheid, completely against the war crimes. But sadly, in the views of the Western world, especially of the American world, if you say that the Israelis are not innocent with all their crimes that they are committing, then sadly, in the view of the Western world, especially America, you are trying to twist historical facts and spreading propaganda by simply showing the crimes and all the problems that the Zionists are causing. So in other words, if you spread the truth about Israel in the Western media or in the Western world, you are seen as spreading propaganda or being anti-Semitic, even although most of the Jews do not agree with Israel themselves. So I hope that after watching this video, you really understand who is lying, you really understand who is the oppressor, and you really understand who is the aggressor in this conflict. Because quite obviously it is not the Palestinians, but it is the Israelis. And forgetting about all of their own war crimes, all of their own atrocities, is simply straight down manipulative. So as I said, I hope that after watching this video, your point on the whole situation or on the whole topic is more neutral than before. Because the Western media certainly is not, it's highly biased. And I just wanted to get this straight. Probably I'm now an anti-Semitic, or I'm a Nazi, or whatever. But yeah, as I've shown to you, the things that I've said are being backed up by Jews. And yeah, you can of course say that these people are also hating Jews, although they are Jews themselves. You can do that. But yeah, I just want to show you how the real Jews, and not the Zionists, the real Jews that are real Jews, that are really believing in the Torah, that are really believing in the religion and living the religion. The real Jews are not in line with the Zionists. And yeah, now you know that. And yeah, you can spread the truth if you want to. You can share this video on social media if it's interesting to you, or maybe to other people. But let's remember one thing, and that's important for me. Let's remember one thing, and that is that Israel is not innocent. And you can take whatever sides you want to, but please try to be factual. Please try to be objective. And please try not to spread any further lies. Because in this whole conflict between Israel and Gaza, there are so many lies on all sides and so much misrepresentation that I would be really happy if at least some of you don't do it anymore. Because decent and humane answers can never be found if you're spreading lies or arguing with lies. Because lies and deceit are always the enemies of your opponents of justice and freedom. And I don't want to say that what the Hamas are doing is okay, but I do want to say that what the Israelis are doing is definitely also not okay. And let's leave it at that. It's definitely not a one-way situation where there are crimes on both sides. And it's not like Ukraine versus Russia, Israel versus Gaza, Israel versus the Palestinians. It's a complete different topic. And if you don't listen to me, I don't care. But please do listen to the Jews that really stand up against the Zionists. Because, as I already said in this video, saying that all Jews agree with the Zionists is basically like saying that all Christians agree with Jehovah's Witnesses or with Mormons or whatever. So please, let's not confuse these things. And yeah, without repeating myself too much, thanks for watching this. I hope I could clear some points there. I will try to make a list in the video description with videos that you can watch either on YouTube or other social media. So that you can also inform yourself if you want to, because I don't want to push my agenda or push my ideas or my opinions here. I just want to spread the truth. And as I said, the Western media is deeply misrepresenting the truth. And yeah, I will put a list, a watch list basically of some valuable stuff in the video description. So if you want to get some further information on the topic and read your own articles and make your own opinion, which you always should. You should always make your own opinion and not only take opinions from other people, because that is highly toxic and dangerous. So if you want to make your own opinion, have a look in the video description. You will see some interesting links there. Yeah, and that having been said, thanks for your attention, thanks for your time. I'm sorry that this video is so long, but if you really wanted to show all sides of this and all voices that are worth hearing, this video would be easily a 10 to 12 hour video, and even then, not everything has been said. But this is basically just me showing, yeah, the basics of this situation here, as the Western media failed to present it in the correct light and present it correctly. So yeah, I'm making my own media basically here, my own news, because yeah, what the Western media is doing here and all the crimes that we are leaving out, it's just manipulative. And yeah, that having been said, thanks again for watching, guys. It would be nice to get a thumbs up or to get a nice comment. If you agree or maybe also disagree with me, write it in the comments, but let's keep neutral, let's keep polite, let's not insult each other, let's not attack each other in the comment section. I don't want to see that. And if people get too aggressive or too extreme with their comments, I have to delete that, of course. Yeah, but if ever you agree or disagree, you can leave it in the comments, and it would be nice to see you in further videos. So if you want to, you can subscribe to my channel. Okay, and yeah, at this point, thanks again for watching, and it would be nice to see you in future videos. Have a good time, guys, and hopefully see you soon.